Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Andy, and welcome to this week's Team Kentucky Update. We've got a lot of news this week, and we start where we always start, with a red-hot economy. Kentucky is on the biggest, best economic development win streak in our lifetime, and it continues week after week. It's already been an exciting 7 or 8 days, but you look at where we are now, and well over 1,000 economic development announcements since I became governor, a record $30+ billion of new private sector investment in us in Kentucky, more than 52,000 new jobs, and we continue to get picked over and over and over for the most high-tech, largest projects. Really exciting when, for the first time I can remember, we're at the top of everyone's list. We're getting the calls first. And it's exciting to see that these jobs are spreading out across Kentucky. Our goal is to have good jobs announcements absolutely everywhere. So today, we get to announce that the Kentucky Economic Development Finance Authority has approved incentives for 10 new location and expansion projects today. These projects are expected to bring in roughly $260 million in new investments, create 418 full-time jobs for Kentuckians. The 10 were Cowport Distilling in Shelby County, which applied for $3.9 million, considering the development of a distillery, bottling hall, and warehouse in Waddy. EPC Columbia in Marion County is looking at a $1 million investment that would create 21 new jobs in the plastic injection molding field. They're considering Lebanon. Gracious Living Kentucky is looking at Butler County for $9.8 million in investments, 50 full-time jobs. They manufacture products like patio furniture, storage containers, laundry baskets, shelving, and recreational products. This would be an expansion in Morgantown to manufacture patio furniture. RIP Technologies is looking at Montgomery County, approved for $4.3 million investment, 46 full-time jobs. They specialize in the production of art pieces and picture frames. They're considering locating in Mount Sterling. S&K Industrial, Clark County, $6.45 million investment, 60 full-time jobs. They specialize in industrial and manufacturing machinery. This would be a new location in Winchester. Shinsung ST Kentucky is looking at Warren County. It'd be a $54.2 million investment, 80 full-time jobs. They are a manufacturer of press parts and secondary battery components. They are considering Bowling Green to produce energy storage system containers. SRC of Lexington is looking at a $15.3 million investment. It creates 60 full-time jobs. They manufacture automotive products for OEMs and the aftermarket. This would be an expansion of its Lexington operation. Pilkington, North America, Woodford County, looking at a $31.76 million investment. It creates 30 new full-time jobs. They're a global manufacturer of glass products. Their Versailles operation produces glass components for the automotive industry, and this investment would replace an existing line to produce large format laminated parts. SCS2, also looking at Warren County. I think we will have an official news release on this going out later today. $63 million investment. It's going to create 28 new full-time jobs. It's new distribution and transfer facility to support the Southern Coil Solutions project that we announced in 2023. And Slow Pass Bourbon Company in Washington County is looking at a $69.7 million investment, create 43 new jobs, and they're considering a new distillery in Springfield. We are continuing to add to this momentum day in and day out, and part of it is because of the hard work we've been putting in through the KPDI program. So today we're announcing 2 new KPDI projects were approved for over $2.3 million in state funding. This is our program that makes sure that we have build-ready sites so that we can win the speed to market battle that helps us land so many of these projects. When I was at Advanced Nano Products in Elizabethtown, and our Secretary of the Treasury, U.S. Treasury, came in, that company told her that we got that facility up and running faster than anyone in their industry had ever seen. That's how we make sure that we can compete with anyone. So the two announced today are the Breckinridge County Fiscal Court and the city of Hardinsburg will be extending sewer and water lines in the Breckinridge County Commerce Park. The project was approved for nearly $332,000 in state support. One East Kentucky, along with the city of Pikeville, will improve property at the Kentucky Enterprise Industrial Park. The project, which is totals around $4 million total, was approved for $2 million of state funding. Site development is crucial in setting up future economic success for the Commonwealth. I'm excited that we will have even more of these projects approved in this round 2 of funding. And we have more companies calling Kentucky home. Just yesterday, I'm told with the help of Leonard Skinner, Bespoken Spirits celebrated the grand opening of its new corporate headquarters and manufacturing operation in Lexington. They are moving their headquarters from San Francisco, California to Lexington, Kentucky. And they're doing it with a $3.2 million investment. It's creating 16 quality jobs that pay an average hourly wage of over $70 an hour. So I want to congratulate Bespoken and its leadership on this exciting grand opening event, and we look forward to their future success and their product here in Kentucky. And then following today's great announcements, I'll be going to Northern Kentucky to celebrate another grand opening. Theme Aero is unveiling its new $45 million 3-bay hangar at the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky International Airport. This is where they repair the largest of the large planes, and this is the first one I've ever seen that you can fit 3 across. The project we initially announced in March of 2022, it's grown from about a $40 million investment to a $45 million investment, and it's going to create 250 full-time positions, including at least 124 Kentucky resident jobs. And I guess we're now helping out Ohio a little bit too. The expansion will provide a huge boost to the Northern Kentucky economy and provide high-quality, well-paying jobs to the region. I want to thank this airport and Candace McGraw, who does a great job. This helps us all. The fact that we have this airport, that we have Amazon, that we have DHL, and then in Louisville, we have the UPS Worldport, means that we can build something anywhere in Kentucky and get it anywhere in the world really quickly. It gives all of us that competitive advantage that is hard to overstate. And now we're going to be doing the work. And these are really good paying jobs, doing the work to repair all these airlines. It's going to continue to grow, I think, both here and, if you remember, UPS did a new hangar to do the same that fits 2 of the airplanes in it. So these great announcements add to some amazing economic news over the past week. Earlier in the week, we announced that thanks to U.S. Department of Energy funding, companies betting on Kentucky and our workforce, we were approved for up to $961 million in grant funds to create jobs and to do next generation projects here in Kentucky. The investments, if realized, would work with dollars that are being privately invested for, we think, at least $4.5 billion of new investment in Kentucky. That is as much as we have done in some years in the past in economic development total. So the awards that were announced were that First Century Aluminum could potentially build the first new primary aluminum smelter in the United States in 45 years, and what I believe will be the first green smelter on planet Earth, and build it in northeastern Kentucky. The smelter would be the largest investment on record in eastern Kentucky. It'd bring 5,500 construction jobs and 1,000 permanent union jobs to the area. We thank Century Aluminum and their CEO, Jesse Gary, for their commitment to Kentucky. We know we got a lot of steps still to go for such a massive project, but $500 million in grants isn't a bad place to start. Next, Velan North American Recycling intends to expand its U.S. recycling capacity and capabilities through significant investments in its state-of-the-art copper scrap metal processing facility in Shelbyville. The project would be the largest investment in Shelby County history and is expected to create 200 additional jobs for Velan. You may remember that Velan announced it was making its North American headquarters here in Kentucky in just 2021, and it's already growing so quickly. Third, we have Diageo America's Supply planning to fund a project that aims to install heat batteries for decarbonization at the Bullitt facility in Shelbyville. We think it'll create about 144 construction jobs across 2 locations in Shelby County. And then we have ISP Chemicals, which is the former Ashland Inc. They now just call themselves Ashland Company. That is an investment in a Calvert City chemical plant. It'd be about a $70 million total investment. And that adds to the one we did last Thursday when the CEO of Rye came in. What an incredible energy project. It'll create 1,500 great construction jobs in Bell County, 30 full-time jobs. It's a $1.3 billion project, currently the largest investment in Eastern Kentucky history. So it is just an exciting time to be a Kentuckian. Much more to come, and we need to locate them in every single community. But this is the type of momentum that you dream of. We've got to make sure we keep it going and keep it going and keep it going. We have so many people to be thankful to, including our great workforce that helps attract them here. But I want to thank President Biden, Energy Secretary Granholm, and the teams at each of these companies for their potential investments in us. All right, with that, we have some announcements we've waited a long time for. Today, we have announcements from the Disaster Recovery Program and from the first pot of dollars that can help our communities rebuild when they've been through far too much. The program, administered by our Department for Local Government, is going to be able to provide over $420 million for communities affected by natural disasters. And today, we have some announcements from the 2021 application cycle. Let's start with the city of Mayfield. Mayfield will use $5.9 million to improve their stormwater infrastructure. After all Mayfield has experienced, the city was hit hard once again by flooding really recently. Last July, I was there with Mayor Onan to tour the flood damage with local leaders, the first responders, and to talk to the families that had been impacted. The project will help ensure they are protected from future flooding events. So, Mayor, if you and your team would please be willing to come up and accept $5.8 million. We'll present it. There you go. I'm $5.9 million.
5.9.
I didn't mean to short you.
That's all right.
You want to talk about the project?
Sure do. Sure do. With me today is our Public Works Superintendent, Aaron Blunt, who will have far more to say about this project than I. I don't know about stormwater retention, but that's what this program is for. And we're so grateful to Department of Local Government, to our governor. And this started way back with Senator McConnell, and it's trickling down to us, and we're so thankful. And I would be much remiss to not thank our partners with the Purchase Area Development District. So we are extremely grateful to be here today to accept this. And you want to say that?
Just want to say thank you, and money helped go a long way to rebuilding the infrastructure, from bridges to culverts, creek stabilization. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Governor.
Yeah. I also want to give a big thank you to the General Assembly. They have worked alongside with us and Mayor Onan to what we believe will ultimately happen, allowing us to use West Kentucky Safe Funds to repair some important city buildings. That includes their City Hall, which was destroyed by the tornado. Mayor, I can't wait to be with you when we finally break ground on that new City Hall. It's going to be beautiful and amazing, and you all deserve the very best. Next, we have some good news for Bowling Green. Bowling Green will use more than $2 million to build 2 duplexes and 6 family homes. This project will help Bowling Green address their need for affordable housing, which has only increased since the tornado hit their city. Today, we're joined by City Manager Jeff Mizell, his team, and the team from Habitat for Humanity. Good to see you all again. Yeah, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to see y'all. Nice to see you.
All right, we'll come over here and first
Yeah.
accept the check, and
Oh, yeah?
kind of all of them. All right. Who wants to talk about the project? You can hold the money. Okay, you can hold the money.
Thank you, Governor. We're very, very grateful for this award. We are so behind on our housing, and we have plans to use this money for affordable housing, hopefully 10 units. We have Habitat for Humanity, Rod Goodman here with us. We also have another organization with our housing authority, Live the Dream. They were not able to make it, but we're very excited. Bowling Green is roughly, Bowling Green County is roughly 14,000 units behind in housing. So we are so grateful for this funding to put toward affordable housing. So thank you very much, Governor. Rod, do you want to say anything about?
I just want to say thanks to Team Kentucky and to the support from all of Bowling Green and from our city. It's been great to watch how everybody's come together to do this, but this just gives us the opportunity to serve 10 new families with the opportunity to build wealth into their own lives. And so we're very grateful to Team Kentucky for that.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you all. And if anybody wants to see what affordable housing can mean, especially after a natural disaster, go see what Rodney has been working on. That I've now been to about 4 times and Brittany's been to about 3 times. Not just providing housing, but building community while it happens. Seeing those families interact has been pretty special. Next, we have good news for Marshall County. The Marshall County Fiscal Court will use $654,000 for a home rehabilitation project for tornado victims. From Marshall County, we have Deputy Judge Executive Andy Pagel. If he please join me. Anybody else you want to bring up? All right. Well, you got the best first name. All right. Want to mention the project?
Sure. On behalf of Judge Kevin Spraggs, the Fiscal Court, and more importantly, the citizens of Marshall County, we accept this award. After that tornado hit Mayfield, it headed towards Benton. Fortunately, it skirted south of Benton, but it did ravage a lot of homes. And if you went through, you would notice that a lot of places rebuilt and people were on their feet. We still have a lot of people who aren't. And this is going to help those people who are still scattered and recovering and get back to their housing. So we appreciate this, appreciate Matea and Travis and their work and a lot of other people that had their hands in this project. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Give the judge my best. Next, we have good news from Fulton County. They'll use $2 million to acquire 12 lots to build home for tornado survivors. So today, all the way from Fulton County, we're joined by Judge Executive Jim Martin and his team. Here's $2 million.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. Please.
Well, Governor, we appreciate this very much. Fulton County's already started on housing before the tornado. Housing is our signature project for our National Partners Network, and we appreciate this very much. This is a real good start for us. We got a long way to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Good. Okay. Next, we have some great announcements for communities in the East. Breathitt County was hit by floods in 2021 and 2022, and we're committed to being there for them every step of the way in their recovery. So today, we're announcing $2.3 million for the city of Jackson. They'll build 8 homes for flood survivors. This property will also make future expansion possible for more homes. Today, we got both Mayor Thomas and our judge executive here. If you all, your teams, the folks from homes, whoever wants to come on up, we've got $2.3 million to help out. It took a while, but here we are. You gonna start? Mayor, Judge?
Well, somebody just said it. It's been a long time coming, but we desperately need housing. And in Breathitt County, we have a good team of helpers, thank goodness. Our partners with FAHI and HDA and many others in the community are helping. So we've struggled to find land that we can build on, but this will be our first win, and we hope to have many more. And we appreciate all the help from Team Kentucky, and DLG has been wonderful to work with us. So thank you.
Judge?
Glad to. I can't really say thank you enough. It has been a long time coming, and Breathitt County kind of laid out different than any county in the state, and it's just been next to impossible to find property to do it. But that's one thing about Team Kentucky and the governor and DLG. They've never quit looking, and we're still looking. And then just week before last in the paper, it was talking about how many people we were losing in our county. It just broke my heart. Some of them going to nearby counties, but they want to be in Breathitt County, and this is just a tremendous start to make this happen. And I'm just so thankful again for the governor and and his support.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all. And I want to make sure the kudos there goes to Jackson and to Breathitt County. They have not given up, trying to still find space for a potential full high ground community. But if we have to find land one home at a time, we're going to do it to make sure that Breathitt County and the city of Jackson get their share. Letcher County was also hit with floods both in 2021 and in 2022. We made the same promise as we did in the East as we did in the West. We'll be there until we rebuild every life, every home, and every structure. So Letcher County will use $8.7 million for projects to build 29 homes in the communities of Seco and Uzi. The project will also include the installation of infrastructure to support the new homes, including roads, water, sewer, and electric. So I see Judge, Mayor, everybody else, come on up. Good to have you all back. Come on in. All right. There you go.
I just want to say we appreciate the continued support of the governor's office and DLG, Travis. We can't thank you all enough for what you've done for us after the floods there in Letcher County. And this money is going to provide some much needed housings for our residents that were affected by the flood. And we can't thank you enough.
Good. Come on. You're doing the work.
Well, thank you, Team Kentucky, DLG, the judge, and everybody's pitched in. Housing, we had a housing crisis before the flood. The flood certainly heightened that, but we're making good progress. Thank you. We got a long way to go. I always say if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. It's hard work, but it's good work to be doing. We're thankful to be in this position. Thank you.
Thank you, as always. Keep up the good work. Today, I'm also announcing some news about the nearly $300 million to respond to the devastating floods of 2022. In the wake of those floods, the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, announced $297 million will be coming to Kentucky from the federal government to help us rebuild. Those are called DR funds. 80% of the $297 million is going to the 5 counties that were impacted the most and distressed most by the 2022 weather events. Those are Breathitt, Perry, Knott, Letcher, and Pike counties. A full list of eligible counties will be in the press release today. So the news is on April 1st, the Department for Local Government will begin accepting applications. Those applications can be for housing, infrastructure, economic revitalization, and resilience planning. Local governments, nonprofits, for-profits, and other governmental entities will be conducting public outreach to make sure that they are meeting housing and infrastructure needs in their impacted communities. If you are someone who's been impacted, I encourage you to reach out to your local nonprofit housing partners or your local housing authority about the disaster recovery program. You can also contact our Department for Local Government directly at dlg.dr@ky.gov to submit any questions. We have pushed and pushed through all the red tape and everything else, and there was a lot to get to the point where we can deploy this $300 million worth of funds. Applications open April 1st. Try to get them in as quickly as you can. We can start evaluating them once they're in and hopefully get these dollars out to good causes. So I want to thank everybody from these communities who came today. We're grateful of all of your good work. Next, we have an update on progress being made as we rebuild on higher grounds in areas affected by the floods in eastern Kentucky. Things are moving quickly at the high ground community in Floyd County on the former site of the Wayland Volunteer Fire Department. I think we've got some photos of that. Infrastructure is in place, and our building partner there, the Appalachian Service Project, has started framing 7 of the 11 homes that will be built on a 4-acre site. Looking at these photos, a lot of progress has already been made, and crews are working every day to move these projects forward to house these families. I look forward to celebrating this progress and seeing the incredible work when I visit the community next month. Wayland's one of 7 high ground communities we've announced to date. The others are Grandview in Letcher County, Chestnut Ridge in Knott County, Olive Branch in Knott County near the Perry County line, New Hope Estates in Floyd County, the cottages at Thompson Branch in Letcher County, and Skyview in Perry County. So also some progress on Skyview. Last month, I was in Perry County to announce construction would soon start on the first of 2 phases on a road project that would get the road up to where the high ground community is. That road will lead to the top, as you see, then and flat area where we are going to be able to build. There are a lot of steps that have to happen before we can start construction of homes, but one of those is transportation. This means the heavy equipment can and will be able to reach it, and we hope that we will have some other infrastructure announcements on this coming in real soon. Contractors are already reshaping the road. Crews are currently clearing brush, doing work to control runoff, and grading the road to get it in good shape for construction vehicles and prepare it for future paving. So I want to thank the Transportation Cabinet for overseeing this project that should wrap up by the end of May or early June if we continue to have good weather. When we look at these high ground sites, we're going to have at least 500 families that can have homes on those sites. So a lot of hope. Progress takes time. It takes more time than any of us like, but we are making progress. We will get there. And today you saw a ton of people that are fully committed to doing it, whether it's in the West or in the East, and we greatly appreciate their partnership. And anybody who doesn't want to stick around the whole rest of the time, feel free to go. We really appreciate having you here. Today, we're also approaching the 50-year anniversary of the 1974 tornadoes in the Commonwealth. On April 3rd, 1974, tornadoes hit a large section of the eastern and central United States, including hitting Kentucky pretty hard. Across the country, 315 lives were lost, including more than 70 Kentuckians. We know what that feels like, having been through that 2021 tornado. More than 6,000 Americans were injured. It was the second largest tornado outbreak on record for a single 24-hour period in the Commonwealth, with 30 F4 and F5 tornadoes that produced widespread damage across Kentucky. The hardest hit community was Stamping Ground in Scott County, where 250 homes and businesses, including the town's only school at City Hall and 2 churches, were destroyed. Today, as we reflect on this anniversary, our hearts are with everyone who lost someone in that storm. That pain doesn't go away, even with the 50 years that have passed. I want them to know that we love them, we care about them, and even 50 years later, we'll continue to mourn with them and support them in any way that they need. Today, we also remember and honor all the first responders and heroes who responded in 1974, and we recognize how far we've come. Today, 50 years later, the homes and businesses in Stamping Ground are rebuilt and the community stands strong. We have faced a lot of natural disasters over the years, but this 50th anniversary shows we can and we will rebuild better than ever. Okay, and a little bit of news earlier this week. I was announced the state's co-chair of the Delta Regional Authority. The DRA is a federal economic development agency. They invest in projects in the lower Mississippi River and Alabama Black Belt regions. 21 counties in Western Kentucky are eligible for DRA funding. In 2022, we received $4.6 million from the DRA. Investments since I became governor include funding to improve the Lisbon Workforce Complex in Webster County, funding to revitalize the Paducah Riverport, funding to expand the manufacturing lab at Henderson Community College. And DRA funds helped to improve natural gas infrastructure in Henderson, which led to us landing the Pratt paper plant. That's just to name a few. I'm excited to work alongside federal co-chair Dr. Corey Wiggins. So in this service, I've moved from ARC, that has a new chair in the East, to DRA in the West. I'm told that I'm the only governor of Kentucky to have ever served as co-chair of DRA and ARC. And if that's true, I'm calling Steve Beshear right after this is done. Next, an update on sports betting, a question we got last week. For the first time, Kentuckians were able to place legal wagers for March Madness. And I can share that after the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament, more than $34 million was wagered in Kentucky retail and mobile combined. $18.6 million was wagered in round 1 of the NCAA tournament, and $15.4 million was in round 2. I think the drop off is probably because we didn't have any teams make the second round. Hopefully next year we will see that change. Tax revenues from sports wagering support the Kentucky Permanent Pension Fund, which frees up money for the General Assembly to use. And that is money that can be used to help build a better Kentucky. It is a win-win. Okay, the solar eclipse is coming up, and we won't have a Team Kentucky update before it. So it's just a little over a week from when we will have a total solar eclipse that passes over a dozen of our western counties. If you're going to be one of the hundreds of thousands traveling to or through the Commonwealth to participate on April 8th, I've got some tips to help make it a safe event. 1, plan ahead. You need to go ahead and pick out your spot to view the eclipse in advance. Check out our Kentucky Tourism website for some great local spots. Number 2, be prepared. Similar to winter snowstorms, you'll want to make sure you got the essentials in your car. You may well be stuck in a long traffic delay, so make sure you have food and water, as there may be long lines at retailers or those long traffic delays. Number 3, drive smart and drive safely. Remember not to stop along highways to view the eclipse. Fill up or charge up before you hit the road. 4, come early and stay late. We think there's going to be a lot of traffic. So the earlier you get there, the less traffic you have to deal with. The later you leave, it's the same. So for more solar eclipse information, including tips and traffic information, visit transportation.ky.gov. Like many of you, I'm going to be there. I have the ugliest pair of eclipse glasses ready to go, and really excited to see it with my family. And now for some fun news. We're officially less than a month away from the Team Kentucky Derby Week kickoff with Common Fest. This event is our way of starting off the Derby Week festivities in Frankfort. This year, the Derby Week kickoff will be held on Saturday, April 27th, the Saturday before the Derby, from noon to 5 p.m. on the south lawn of the state capitol. This annual event's gotten better and bigger each year and is a way to showcase what Kentucky has to offer, from live music to vendors, artists, and so much more. This year, we will have live musical performances by the Bill May All-Stars, Them Lasses, Sorry Atari, Producing a Kind Generation, and Keith Hammonds. We'll also have some amazing food trucks here, including Crave Kitchen, Spice of Life, Laco's Taco Truck, Locals Pizza, Community Q, and Sweet G's Ice Cream. We'll have lots of locally grown fresh produce and goods sold through the Frankfort Farmers Market, and lots of fun activities for kids, including games, balloon artists, multiple arts and crafts stations, and a book reading hosted by the Paul Sawyer Public Library. But I tell you what I'm really excited about. The Kentucky History Center will be helping kids make their own kazoo, and we will host our first ever Derby Kazoo Parade. For the adults, in addition to the dozens of Kentucky art vendors who will have works available, we have the return of Common Fest. Common Fest is held under the tent nearby, where you can purchase beer and spirits from dozens of Kentucky breweries, wineries, and craft distilleries. If you do that, you are not allowed to play the kazoo after 1 or 2. There are many unique things that make Kentucky such an incredible place that will be on display Saturday, April 27th, right here on the south lawn of the Capitol. I look forward to seeing you here. And finally, our Team Kentucky All-Stars. Today, Brittany and I joined some advocates along with members of Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky in the state capitol rotunda to stand against child abuse and renew our commitment to work together to make sure every child has a healthy, safe, and secure childhood. As a dad, as a person of faith, and as governor, there is no more sacred responsibility than the protection and well-being of our children. My faith teaches me that children are a gift from God. Scripture tells us they are a real blessing. So this morning, I declared April Prevent Child Abuse Prevention Month and signed House Bill 207, which further protects our children from predators. Preventing child abuse takes all of us. And that's why Team Kentucky All-Stars today are all the social workers, all the law enforcement officers, all the prosecutors, everybody who works in our child advocacy centers, our teachers, everybody who's watching, willing to pick up the phone and call the hotline. Absolutely everyone who believes it's their job not just to protect their children, but all children across the Commonwealth. In recognizing April as Child Abuse Prevention Month, we're naming the whole team that's out there trying to protect our children, which should be every adult. It's all of our legal duty, our Team Kentucky All-Stars. And what we're asking in return is that you keep it up and that you do even more. I still remember when I was Attorney General, the first human trafficking victim that we saved was right before Derby, my first year as AG, and it was because a hotel clerk saw something that looked off and made a phone call. That was the difference between that, I then think, 13-year-old girl continuing to be trafficked or rescued and provided those services. What you do can be the difference in between somebody hopefully being able to get the healing that they need or being continually abused by these predators. So in recognizing April as Child Abuse Prevention Month in the Commonwealth, thank you to everybody doing this work, but to all of us, it is all our job. Let's make sure we do better each day, each week, each month, and each year. And with that, we will open it up to questions. We got a lot of people here today. We'll start the way the RSVPs came in with Tessa Duvall from the Herald Leader. There you are.
Today's day 58, 60-day session. Budget is top priority in the 60-day session. Do you have thoughts about where the budget is, things you'd still like to see, questions you still have about it, just generally asking the state of the budget?
So we are really close to the end. And what we have is really part of the budget right now. House Bill 6 is what's called the executive branch budget, but we're waiting on House Bill 1. And the two of those together are going to be how we can evaluate this in the end. What I'm seeing right now is depending on what's in House Bill 1, I think we have significant investment in a lot of the worries that people have when they wake up in the morning. People, when they wake up in the morning, aren't thinking about politics. They're thinking about their job. We're going to have KPDI funding in this, not as much as I wanted, but good funding to move forward, along with a number of other incentive programs or opportunities through the Cabinet for Economic Development and through some grants. People think about the roads and the bridges that they drive on. I think we're going to have significant funding to move forward. I hope we continue to have that county and city bridge fund to help them replace and repair bridges that are just too expensive. They think about public safety. We certainly hope to see that body armor fund wherever they put it in, and hope we'll get the largest CLEP increase that they're willing to consider. They think about their public schools, and that's where I wish we'd see more, but I want to acknowledge it has gotten better. And this whole budget has gotten better from the original House version to where we are now. There is significant additional funding for transportation, for people transportation in this version of the budget. That's good. The SEEK dollars look like they'll be bigger, but I think once it's actually calculated, they'll be fairly similar. There is money for school construction, extra money because these projects have gotten more and more expensive. And so it's going to help school systems finish it. So I would say I am currently disappointed that there is not mandated teacher raises in universal pre-K, but I want to wait until I get House Bill 1. I'm hoping that it will fill in a gap for Medicaid, which could be an issue if it doesn't. But a lot of things got better in this budget, but still, we have got to get our educators a real raise if we're going to be competitive with other states. I do want to say both chambers communicated with us. That didn't mean they did our priorities. The Senate especially communicated a lot with us when it went into their chamber, and appreciate the involvement. So again, we'll see when House Bill 1 comes in to close that gap. And I hope you can decide actuarially how big the rainy day fund needs to be. Investing some or a portion of that in things like infrastructure and healthcare, those are good investments. And so if we see those, obviously we'll want to see and evaluate them, but we think we can be supportive of them. Phil Pendleton. WKYT.
It sounds like that there, or they were debating House Bill 5, the Safer Kentucky Act on the House floor, getting ready to possibly pass that, send it to your desk. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, any bill that is now in the process that's going to come to me, we'll let you know when we make a decision on it. We're going to evaluate each and every one of them, read through each and every word, and we'll let you know when we sign it or veto it. We'll reach out. Bodie.
Thank you, Governor. Given the signals from the General Assembly on those issues, teacher raises and universal pre-K, we're still going to have an issue with the teacher shortage and a child care availability shortage. What is the next step moving forward to achieve those policy priorities?
Yeah, the question is on raises and universal pre-K. On raises, what I hope is with this additional transportation funding that districts are able to provide something as much as they can in teacher raises. And I know our superintendents are already trying to do that. I think there was one quoting they thought they might be able to do 2 or 3%. I hope they can do more. But I would encourage our superintendents to do as much as they can and to communicate about the budget situation very directly to everyone. We need to make sure that across the Commonwealth, people see that we're losing educators. My daughter's had 3 social studies teachers this year, and we're not unique. And so we have got to try to keep up with Tennessee and Indiana. I don't think this budget's going to quite do that. But again, there's a lot more funding and transportation that came in the end. I want to acknowledge that. And there was significant investment to hold down health insurance costs. So both state employees and all of our educators are going to have no increase in their health insurance premium, which is unusual for employees anywhere. That's about $1 billion investment to make that happen in this budget. So that's not a direct salary increase, but it is an important benefit that's going to prevent costs, at least that cost, going up. On universal pre-K, I am now starting to see the private sector not come around, but really embrace this issue. It is the fastest way we can increase the size of our workforce and make sure we don't lose any of our potential workforce before they even start kindergarten. I'm seeing a number of the companies that are up here lobbying on a lot of different things come in, and this is what they want to talk about. How over a 2-year period that they can make the case that this is critical and will help companies in every single county and is good for all of our kids and their employees' kids. So I believe universal pre-K is coming. The messenger may need to be the private sector if they don't want to take it from me. But again, it is the single fastest way we can improve the workforce. Dollar for dollar, the single most effective thing we can do to increase the workforce. And, you know, my mom raised me stubborn. I'm going to keep trying and trying and trying. She worked for 6 years to get that dropout bill passed that raised the dropout age in Kentucky to 18. You would think you wouldn't have to work 6 years to raise a dropout age to 18, but she did. And apparently I have a lot of her genetics. Carolina.
Governor, you mentioned that some superintendents may be 2%, 3% increases. Senate leaders say they've spoken with some superintendents who say they could potentially do 5. Do these percentage increases, are they good enough to help with some of Kentucky's problems when it comes to teacher shortages, retaining and recruiting teachers?
Yeah, 2 to 5% will not resolve our teacher shortage. Is not enough to ultimately draw in more students to the field. We just need to do more and need to do better. Again, I want to say that we did get increased funding in every version of the budget, or at least coming into the end. Holding down health insurance premiums is a big deal, but we've just got to do more. And so if I have a hope at this point in the session, is that the legislators will at least commit to looking over this next 2 years and working with us, recognizing that it's an issue that we've got to look at whatever way we're going to provide funding, because we provide a ton of funding outside the SEEK formula already for different things, that it can result in the types of raises that Tennessee's giving. You know, we've heard legislators forever say, oh, Tennessee, or oh, but Nashville. And if we were more like Tennessee, or if we were more like Nashville. Well, first, last year in economic development, when you look at those rankings in the region, we beat Tennessee by 50, 60 projects. So I'm pretty excited about that, but they're winning on teacher salaries. They're beating us. They just announced a big raise, and that's going to hurt us competitively. So we're going to keep pushing, but 2 to 5% is not enough. But But I want to say to every superintendent, if you can do 5%, God bless you. Thank you. Stretch as much as you can. And I at least understand the limitations and the challenges that they're dealing with. But again, I want to I want to say without House Bill 1 being here, it's hard to evaluate the whole budget. It's gotten a lot better. Communication was certainly open and more open this session than at any time since I've been governor. Mark Vanderhoff.
Outside the budget, is there anything that you hope is going to cross the finish line today, or anything that's come through these past couple days that you're like, yes, finally?
Well, we've got some agency bills out there that could be helpful. I'd really like to see the medical marijuana cleanup bill passed because we've got two major issues. Number one, the dates just weren't right in the initial bill. In the initial bill, the day you can get your license as a business is the same day you can begin operating. Well, if you don't know that you're going to have a license, you can't do all the steps to begin to operate, right? If you're a retailer, you're not going to find your facility. You're not going to invest. You're not going to hire employees unless you know you're getting your license, and you can't do a lot of the activities related to medical cannabis without a license. It wasn't intentional. Senator West has worked with us. He filed that bill. I'm grateful for that. The second thing, though, is we the bill set up a really strange way that new conditions could get added. And there are some conditions that definitely ought to be on there that aren't, that are in every other state that has them. And I didn't think they were very questionable. I think they are conditions that have a lot of pain associated with them. They gave the ability, and I'm not even sure it's legal, to a group at UK where I guess they could sit down and decide what we would add. That group doesn't want to do it, and I don't think asked to do it. And so that's not a criticism, but we either need a new mechanism through CHFS, through a group we could put together. There's a group already created by the statute, or they need to add these conditions during the session. I'm not sure that that's going to go through, though there is a bill that could easily be amended as we're coming up at the end. A lot of our priorities, which I do think will end up in the final budget, I'm waiting to see the final details on. That's what we can do with water and sewer. That's already the bill's going through that's going to allow us to use that BEAD money for internet coming down. So, I'm watching a lot of bills right now as we near the end, and we'll see what they do. There's been sessions where after the budget goes through, people slow down and just pass priorities. And then there's budget sessions where it seems like the wheels come off and 100 bills pass in the last, 10 hours. And I certainly hope that doesn't happen because that means nobody's reading them. Liam.
Governor, I wanted to ask you about criticism you had earlier this month of Senate Republicans not confirming your appointments to the Fish and Wildlife Commission. You said at the time, quote, "It's time for them to stop protecting leadership in what I think is the most corrupt part of state government." I wanted to ask you specifically, who were you specifically referring to when you said leadership, and what do you think is corrupt about the Fish and Wildlife Department?
I think Fish and Wildlife has been operating with the same appointees whose terms have been up, has been operating outside of statutory requirements on party registration and the rest, has been operating in a way the sportsmen say they're not serving us, they're just serving themselves. And that information doesn't come from me. It comes from all these sportsmen and their organizations that right now oppose the way that it's being run. But when I talk about practices needing to be changed, go back to an audit from a Republican auditor about Fish and Wildlife. I mean, that is the most brutal audit that I've ever read. And what it said is we need new outside leadership. So what happened? The chair of the board at that time, who'd been the chair during the period that was being criticized, interviewed a bunch of outsiders and then went to the board and recommended himself to become the commissioner. That's just not right. And I don't understand why everybody can't step back and say, we wouldn't allow that to happen anywhere else. And now it appears that if I choose between those that won their elections in their districts, because I don't get to choose anybody for Fish and Wildlife. I have a list based on elections from the sportsmen. And it appears that if the current commissioner doesn't like them in any way, they won't get confirmed. Well, that's not good government. I'll tell you what I tell everyone in a major appointment. It could be on a university board or this one, is that I'm not appointing potted plants, right? When you are a university trustee or you are a commissioner of Fish and Wildlife, your job is to make sure it runs the right way. If leadership in an organization only answers to you on a board, you've got to be an active board. You got to make sure things are running right. And that's why sometimes when different heads of boards have suggested to me who their board members should be, I say absolutely not. You don't get to pick your board. They're supposed to govern the organization, and they're supposed to monitor you and your activities. That's back from my lawyer days. That's what fiduciary duties are all about. And so listen, the sportsmen elect somebody. I pick one of them. It's time for them to go ahead and confirm them. I mean, I think I nominate the husband of a Republican state representative this time, and they haven't even gone forward in the process. So that says something is just really wrong, and it needs to get fixed. And how do we have the transparency that the sportsman deserves and that the Commonwealth deserves if we don't have independent, board members that are over there willing to say good job to the commissioner and leadership, or we need to do these things differently. I've always believed in real governance on those boards. All right, do we have Hannah? There you are, Hannah. Yes, good to see you again.
What your position is on House Bill 509. Some say that it would prevent, there's a giant loophole and prevent the public from using open records to view text messages about public business. Do you plan to veto this bill? What are your thoughts?
Well, every bill that's coming through the process right now, we're going to evaluate, and then we'll come out with our decision. But let me say this: I was Attorney General for 4 years, and I think our decisions on open records stand for themselves. I am the only successful candidate for a statewide office in 12 years to release their tax returns each and every time. I post where the state plane is going on our website. But in the analysis of this bill, I think that there is something that is being missed. And this bill comes out of Fish and Wildlife. And the fact that they're never even issued a state email or a state phone with the ability to use it to communicate, which they're going to need to. So right now, the way people say the law works is you don't get that. And if you use your phone, we can't take your phone. There's no way we can search your phone. But we're supposed to ask you to please go through it and take a snapshot of anything and send it to us. Well, someone who wants to get around the Open Records Act, that is just as big of a hole as anything else. What this bill does do that was discussed with me is it makes everyone have a state email address, says you have to use this and not your personal device. And if it's on a state email, we can pull it. It's not the individual who's deciding whether they're going to share a record with you. There is an ability to truly check. So I hope we will see a full analysis of that bill. We also have Isaiah from WHAS.
We've seen plenty of bills take aim at Louisville specifically. You've already vetoed one.
Yeah.
We're also seeing resolutions, JCPS, potential audits, task forces. There's another nonpartisan election bill that specifically named Louisville by description.
Yeah.
What's your take on all these bills?
They want partisan school board elections, but nonpartisan Louisville mayor elections. These are partisan bills and attacks on the autonomy of the city of Louisville and its ability to govern itself the same way that any other city or county does. The whole reason we have cities and counties in their government is so that the people closest to you govern the parts of your life that are closest to you. And the idea that the state legislature, anytime they disagree with Louisville, can take a vote and a whole bunch of people that live outside of Louisville can change policy made by the city of Louisville, it's just outrageous. I mean, it's time to knock it off and know we can come into a session and we can focus on things that aren't partisan, like jobs and public safety and infrastructure, public education, which should be nonpartisan. Or we can say, which elections are we winning and losing, and try to change the rules of the game. I mean, that's not what people are elected to do. That's not the right way to spend our time. We have a chance to do so many good things. Why don't we just do them instead of playing these games? And it's clear that the supermajority has an absolute obsession with Louisville. But if that's the case, go and run for an office in Louisville. Don't try to change decisions here in Frankfort. That's how I really feel. And I think we got Karen Czar on the line.
Good afternoon, Governor, and thank you. You've already answered my questions on current bills, so I'm going to go in a completely different direction. You talk frequently about your faith and you're very open about your faith. We are in the midst of Holy Week leading up to Easter. What is your message to Kentuckians, and happy Easter? Thank you.
Well, happy Easter to you. This is a very special week for my faith, and in so many people's faith in Kentucky and around the world. It's a time where we're supposed to recognize that while we are flawed human beings, we are all children of God. We are all loved, and we're called to love one another. Lieutenant Governor and I were in church together on Palm Sunday, and it's just, I mean, the story of how Jesus enters Jerusalem not as a conquering hero, right, but on the colt. It reminds us that my Savior could have chosen to be the Prince of Power, but chose to be the Prince of Peace. How we're supposed to live our lives, how we're supposed to care for one another, the power games that aren't supposed to go on, but when we are in a position, how we can do things to help people and for good. I mean, the idea that the Son of God would sacrifice his life to save us from our sins and to give us that opportunity to be better, ought to be something that encourages all of us to be better and to respect everyone of all faiths everywhere and to try to find common ground. Now, you look at the gospel and the life and where Jesus spent his time. And it wasn't with the powerful and the elite, but with the lost and the lonely and the left behind. I mean, trying to give people a hand up, trying to make sure everybody had food, whether regardless of their circumstances. Almost all of the miracles are about helping people, using what power you have to lift other people up and never knock somebody down. So this is a special week. It's so important to me personally and to my family. So to everybody out there, happy Easter. I hope you enjoy the whole week. Sunday is a really important day where we look forward to celebrating. Next week, there will be no Team Kentucky update. I hope everyone has a happy Easter. And if it's that week, happy spring break to all the kids out there. Thanks.
Happy break in session to y'all.